Hi, I'm Irv Brown, and I'd like you to meet a very special person, John Elway. John is one of the best quarterbacks playing the game. His arm strength, his scrambling ability are unsurpassed. Now, he grew up in an athletic family, the son of Coach Jack Elway. John excelled in high school. He went on to a great career at Stanford. In the year of the quarterback, 6 were drafted in the first round of the NFL. He was the #1 selection. He was right on schedule. We were talking about a future Hall of Famer. Now, through it all, he remains the kind of guy you'd like to have as a friend. You're about to participate with an exciting videotape, and I do mean participate. You'll sit down the first time and watch this tape all the way through, and then head for your field and try it out. Right in the middle of some pass, something John Elway said to you will suddenly just make so much sense. You'll plop this tape back in the machine, you'll watch that section over and over again. Participation. One other thought. Try and get someone else to watch it with you. Get your dad, your mother, or a buddy. Talk it over, and then go out in the backyard and catch your passes and help coach you. You get a lot more out of it if it's shared. This tape is divided into several sections. First, we'd like you to meet John Elway without his helmet on. John will talk about competition and teamwork, about failure and success, about leadership, and above all, about giving your very best.
The thing that you've got to do, and a guy that's going to be mental tough and in the end is going to be at the top, is a guy that doesn't quit, that can put that failure behind him and not look for excuses for those failures, but look to the future and stay positive and look for good things to happen, and they will.
Then the main feature, John Elway on offensive football. Step by step, John takes you from the huddle to surviving defensive linemen. You're going to learn just how many things can go wrong on a snap. You'll learn the 3-step. And how precise a dance it should be. You'll read the defense and know the ins and outs of all the best pass routes. You'll learn about passing from one of the best passers in the game, John Elway. In the exercise segment, you may be surprised at some of John's comments. What are the 3 best exercises according to John? What about weightlifting? How about karate? Swimming?
You look at all the guys that have great quickness, and they've all got great flexibility. So anything you can use that will give you that flexibility, whether it be gymnastics or the karate or any of those type of things that can give you that added flexibility, is going to help your quickness.
Now, one thing you're going to hear John say over and over, there are no shortcuts. Nothing replaces practice unless it's drills. And he included some passing drills he thinks you're going to like. Some of these drills you can even do alone, even while you watch television. John Elway is a superb athlete. We all know that. But you know what? He's so much more. He is a son, a husband, a father, in short, a person. He has a life outside of football. He knows the value of balancing life, of balancing academics with athletics, of balancing football with other sports. He was a professional baseball player. In an in-depth interview, John shares his views on food, sleep, drugs, study, and parents.
I'd call my mom and dad, and they were always the big boost. They were always the ones that kept me going, kept me working hard, and you know, with their positive attitude, when you've got a great deal of respect for your parents like I do, their word means a lot to you, and they're definitely the ones that got me through that first year.
John Elway can help you fine-tune that spiral. But you know, this tape ain't gonna make you a better athlete or a better quarterback or a better person. Only you can do that. You can do that, but you can get help. Your coaches and teammates, of course, they're so helpful. Watching the best do their thing on TV, that can't hurt either. But don't ignore help a lot closer to home. In fact, in your home. Look to your family. Talk over your goals with them, and then go to work. For John and for everybody who worked on this tape, I'm Irv Brown. We hope you enjoy working with it. Good luck. Intangibles. You can't drill or practice intangibles, you live them. Sometimes they make the difference between winning and losing. All the football training that you have and everything, you're still talking about later life, and life does go on after football. And we're talking about some things that people can use during those days.
Well, I think that's the whole idea behind athletics. I think that you get into a situation with football and everything involved in football, the competitiveness, the teamwork, you know, working with teammates and all those different type of things, all those things are going to help you later on in life. Whether you get into business, you've got to be competitive. If you're not competitive in the business world, you're never going to make it. And it's the same way on the football field. If you don't have the teamwork on the football field, and it's the same way in business. If you don't have the teamwork in the business where you've got everybody working together to get one single goal, whether it be one big contract or whether it be winning the Super Bowl, the attitude's all the same. It all comes behind the competitiveness, and that's everybody working in one direction. Anything that I play, I want to be the best at. And whether it be tiddlywinks, whether it be, like you said, video games, pool, you know, golf, I want to be the best at it. I want to be the best that I can be. And you know, I think that competitive attitude it helps me improve, whether it be in the golf game or the outside sports that, you know, aren't major to me, but anything involved. Whether it be you know, timing yourself to get your slippers, you know, or anything like that. My dad always used to time me to go get his slippers, and I'd want to break the record every time I'd go do it. So, you know, those things can, you know, is something that I'm grateful for, and I think it's got me where I'm at right now. I think the thing that I've always think about and remember are the guys that always fight back, that are always coming, that play 100% down in and down out. A lot of times you see guys that are great athletes, but you don't ever know when they'll play great one play, and then the next play they'll take it off. I think the guys that I respect the most are the guys that play 100% down in and down out throughout the game.
What are your thoughts on leadership?
Well, there's a lot of things involved in leadership, and I think especially at the quarterback position, you know, you've got to be a leader because you're the guy that's doing all the talking in the offensive huddle. That's not to say that an offensive lineman or a tight end or a wide receiver can't be a leader because we have leaders that are offensive linemen and wide receivers on our team. But as a quarterback, you've got to be a leader. Leadership is not given. Leadership is earned. It's earned through respect. It's not something that, well, I'm the quarterback, I'm automatically going to be given that leadership and that respect that when I say, let's go, they're going to listen to me. It's earned, and it's something that takes a while. But if you keep working and play well and those players know that you're giving your 100% to do everything you can to win that football game that day, they're going to respect you, and therefore you're going to be a leader to them. The type of leader that I like to be, I like to lead by action instead of by words, and that's by, in practice, working hard, running between drills, and doing every drill full speed so that I'm improving myself during practice. And so when you walk into a room, you know, you'll be able to notice some of your leaders, but then there's also those leaders that are kind of withdrawn a little bit, but you know, you get them in a working atmosphere, and you know what type of person they are.
When it's going lousy, how do you get it going? How do you get your motor revved up?
Well, I think the key thing is to put that all behind you, to look at it constructively. You know, whether you look at it at game films or reviewing it in your mind, is to look at it constructively. Get better from that failure. Get better from it. Learn from your mistakes, and don't make those mistakes again. Don't dwell on them, but don't let those interfere with the next game or the next competition that you're going to be in. Go out and give it the best you can the next time without letting those negatives that happened to you the last time interfere, but also remember to learn from those mistakes. Success is not nearly, you don't really enjoy success until you've had failure. And the thing about failure, and the thing that I respect most about a guy is a guy that can rebound from failure. From all of a sudden things aren't going well for you, and you're doing everything you can to prevent it, but all of a sudden they just keep going bad. The thing that you've got to do, and a guy that's going to be mental tough and in the end is going to be at the top, is a guy that doesn't quit, that can put that failure behind him and not look for excuses for those failures, but look to the future and stay positive and look for good things to happen, and they will. What we've got here is a video that we can learn off of, and not only you know, with the techniques, but I think you know, it's a good example of what I went through and what I went through to get to where I'm at right now, and the way my parents treated me and what they did to get me where I'm at right now. And I hope that my experiences would be able to give other parents ideas of how to treat their kids, as well as the kids how to, you know, what made me want to do certain things and how I got where I'm at.
Quarterbacking. John Elway with a dozen steps to help you do it better. The Huddle. Time for the fans to argue about the last play. But for you and your team,
The huddle is probably the most important thing, because whether you're on offense or defense, that's where everything starts. It's where the quarterback walks in the huddle and gets the play called so we can get to the line of scrimmage. The thing about the huddle is it can be a place where guys can discuss what's going on. A receiver can tell me what they can run if they've got this route or that route, or an offensive lineman can tell me what play they'd like to run.
22's playing me loose on the outside. All right, listen up.
But the thing is, once you get through that and it's time to call the play, you've got to get total respect and have everyone be quiet, have them look at you in the eye, and total silence. And while you are in the huddle, you've got to be loud. You've got to make sure you enunciate and make sure everything is that you said is heard, so that everyone knows exactly what they have to do.
121, waggle solid, center out. 121, waggle solid. Ready? Right.
You call the play. You break the huddle. You walk to the line of scrimmage. Now, what are you looking for?
Well, the first thing the quarterback's got to look for when he comes out of the huddle is to look and find a free safety and a strong safety, because especially if you've got a pass play on, those are the two guys that are going to tell you what the coverage is.
Will you know if they're in man-to-man or zone immediately?
Well, sometimes you will, not all the time, because like I said, they like to disguise coverages. But again, you get to man, you look at that strong safety, and 90% of the time, the guy that he's got to cover is the tight end. So if he's head up on that tight end, straight behind that tight end, chances are that we're going to be in man coverage. And also, you get from the strong safety to free safety, and then man coverage, and then all of a sudden you look at those linebackers, got a pass play on. Those are the two guys that are going to tell you what the coverage is. Especially with the way the game's going now, you know, they're trying to disguise a lot. So even if you don't get a pre-read when you're coming out of the huddle, on your first drop, when you're taking your first steps out of the drop, those are still the two guys you've got to look for. There's a couple other that you can, you know, as you go on and get some experience that you can look at. The defensive front sometimes will tell you, give you an idea what the defense is going to be. But the main thing is to find that free safety and strong safety and follow them even throughout your drop, and they'll tell you what the coverage is going to be.
The cadence, that moment of suspense when all eyes and ears turn to you. You've got your style, but it's more than just style and suspense.
The next step of quarterbacking is the cadence. As a quarterback, you've got to be able to communicate your team, and it's up to you to make sure that everyone knows what's going on. And with the cadence, the first step is to be rhythmic. Be the same, time in and time out. Like this. Set hot. Red 88. Red 88, hot. And so they know every time that when you're going to call that first hut that they can get off the ball and anticipate that. Second of all, it's got to be loud. A lot of times you're going to go away from home and into a visiting stadium, and you've got to be extra loud because the fans are very hostile on that day. So you've got to be extra loud. You've got to make sure you communicate to the wide receivers, whether it be by cupping the hands to make sure they hear. Whatever it takes to get it done, you've got to get it done. And last of all is probably the audible. I think the audible is it's a good thing, but it can be overused. For me, an audible is to get us out of a bad play. If we got a defensive front that we cannot run a play into, then I want to use an audible. The key thing of an audible is not to make a good play better. It's to make a bad play good.
The snap. You've taken a million of them. Now, what can possibly go wrong?
One of the most important things on offense is the center-quarterback exchange. If you don't get the ball from the center, nothing happens on offense, and you're wasting plays that could have turned into maybe some long yardage for you or a touchdown possibly. The thing that I like to do as a quarterback with 5 different checkpoints is, number 1, make sure my thumbs are together. You got to have those thumbs together because that ball comes up pretty hard and you do not want them to split your hands. So you want to make sure those thumbs are together. Secondly, want to make sure that the center knows where your hands are. So when you put your hands underneath the center, that top hand's got to give the center plenty of pressure so he knows where he has to snap that ball. Thirdly is, whenever you put your hands underneath the center, make sure that your hands are ready to take a snap. For 2 reasons. Number 1, if your hands are closed and that center snaps the ball unexpectedly, it can hurt your hands. It can break your fingers and you can miss some games and that type of thing. Once you put your hands in there, your hands have got to be wide open, thumbs together with the pressure, and you've got to be ready to take that ball in case you're trying to pull someone off sides. If we have a count on 2 and they jump off sides on 1, our center is going to snap that ball, and you've got to make sure that you're ready to take that so you don't fumble that ball when he does snap it early. And fourthly is to make sure that you know what the count is And you do not want to anticipate that count and pull out of there too quickly, because that's the main reason for a quarterback center exchange that happens to be left on the ground, is because the quarterback leaves too early. And last but not least, is probably one of the most important things, and takes a lot of work between you and your center, is to make sure you get that ball where you want it and you get the laces. If you have to take a 3-step drop and get rid of the ball, you want to have those laces so you don't have to adjust it a whole lot. Set.
You're a great passer. You got a great arm. You can throw it a country mile. What about the handoffs, though?
Ready? Set. The most important thing about getting the ball on a running play is to make sure you've got 2 hands on the ball and you pull it into your stomach. You want to have 2 hands and a firm grip on that ball, because there's a lot of people pulling, and guards pulling, tackles pulling inside. And if they happen to hit you, you want to have a firm grip of that football and make sure it's not fumbled. Secondly, as you open up and you're giving it to the running back, you want to make sure that your running back has a good pocket. That's his job, to give you a good pocket. Inside elbows, you know, see Jim here, he's got his inside elbow up. That's the way you always want to take the ball as a running back. Now, as a quarterback, it is my job to put that ball in that pocket. He doesn't worry about that. He just forms the pocket. It's my job to put it in. He's got to keep his eyes on where he's running. So I got to put that ball in that pocket. Now, I want to keep 2 hands on that ball as long as I can, but I don't want to put it in the pocket with 2 hands. I don't want anything between the ball and his stomach when he gets the ball. So I stick it in there nice and firm. He clamps down on it, then I pull my other hand out.
Pass, that exciting combination of speed, grace, strength, and precision. It all begins with the basics.
The first thing as a quarterback you want to do when throwing a football is bring the ball to the chest. Keep 2 hands on the ball and bring it to the chest, so when you are dropping back, it's in the throwing position. Next, what we always want to do is, as a right-handed thrower, when we're coming out from underneath the center, we're going to pivot on our left foot. That means pivot. We do not want to pick it up, set it down, and then go. We want to just pivot on that left foot, because if you pick it up, you lose speed and depth, and that's the last thing you want to lose in your 3-step drop. So as we pivot on that left foot, that first step we call our depth step. We really want to drive and get some good depth out of that first step, because that's where we got to get our distance away from the line of scrimmage, because our second crossover step, as well as our third step, we want to use those 2 as our control steps. We want to use those 2 steps as getting ourselves under control, so when we hit on that third step, we're ready to throw the football. Also, we want to remember that after we pivot and open up, we want to keep this front hip and front shoulder parallel, perpendicular to the line of scrimmage. We want to keep that downfield, so when we're coming back, we're straight downfield. So we have it's as easy for us to throw to our left as it is to our right. If we get curled up in here like this, we get all curled up and we're throwing to our left, we have to bring that front foot all the way around, and we can't be consistent of putting it down where we want to every time when pointing it out to the receiver. So we want to keep perpendicular to that line of scrimmage, so we're consistent, whether we're throwing to our left or throwing to our right.
The 5-step drop. Now, you're talking bread and butter for John Elway.
The 5-step drop is probably the drop that the quarterbacks use most in football. And on the 5-step drop, again, we want to pivot on that first step with an under control step on that first one, then a crossover. And then on our third step, we want to use that third step as our depth step, the step to get us away from the line of scrimmage, to get us deep, and so we can have more room to throw the football. With our 4th and 5th ones being our controlled steps, to get us under control. With the ball right here, we're ready to throw. When we hit on that 5th one, we're ready to throw the football at any time. We don't have to take a hitch step or anything like that to get ready. We're under control, ready to throw the football when we hit on that 5th step. Now, what do we use a 5-step drop for? Well, it's more the medium range passes. We like to use those for the hook routes, the square outs, the curl routes, and even sometimes, depending on the call, we can throw a fade off the 5-step drop.
Three-step, 5-step, 7-step drop. Who's counting? Does it matter?
The most important thing about your drops, whether it be the 3, 5, or 7-step drop, is to be consistent with them every time you do them. On a 3-step drop, if your linemen think you're going to be 5 yards deep, it's important to be 5 yards deep every time you take that drop. So they know where you're going to be and can block as hard as they can without them worrying about you being somewhere where you're not supposed to be. So it's important to be consistent with those drops. And talking about the 7-step drop, there's not a lot of difference between that and the 5-step drop, except with the 7-step drop, we want to use our 3rd, 4th, and 5th step as our depth steps, to get back there as far as we can and get depth away from the line of scrimmage to give us more time to throw the football. Our 6 and 7 steps, again, are our controlled steps, steps that we use to get ourselves under control, so when we hit on that 7th step, we're ready to throw the football. We don't have to take a hit step. We're ready to throw the football when we hit on that 7th step. What do we use a 7-step drop for? Well, the 7-step drop's the exciting drop, because you know you're going to get a chance to throw it deep downfield and possibly score a touchdown. We like to throw the 9 route off the 7-step drop, as well as the post route and the deep crossing route. So those are the exciting ones, and ones that you've got to work hard on and try to get better with each time you do it. Set, hut.
Those defensive linemen are getting closer each time. They look like they're getting bigger, too. Now, will rolling out help?
Down, odd, ready, set, go.
Well, the rollout and the sprint out are great. I think that you know, people are using it a lot more now, and the advantages of rolling out is, one, the defensive linemen don't know where you're going to be. When you roll outside, they're so used to taking a 5 or 7-step drop where you've been consistently in the same place the whole time. Now all of a sudden you're rolling out, getting outside of the pocket and trying to set things up outside, and it really confuses and really kind of takes pressure off the offensive linemen, because the defensive linemen can't get nearly as good a pass rush as they would have if you were dropping straight back. Kind of some of the negatives with the rollout, what it does is it really kind of cuts down the field. If you roll out to the right now, you don't have too many quarterbacks that throw back, so you're really only using half the field, and therefore the defenses kind of have a tendency as you roll to roll with you, and it really kind of closes down the zones and to the side of the rollout. So there's a lot of advantages with it, but there's also some disadvantages.
Quick thought, John. Is there more balance with the rollout versus the sprint out for the youngster?
It all depends. I think the sprint out and the rollout are I think the sprint out is more or less over the tackle, whereas the rollout you're going to get farther outside, and they're both good. They both can be advantageous. The sprint out isn't going to cut off nearly as much as the field as the rollout would be when you got way outside. In the sprint out, if you go behind the rollout behind the tackle, then you've much got use of the whole field, whereas the rollout, again, you're getting back to shutting down half the field, and those defensive guys sneak to that side of the field, and it really cuts down your throwing lanes.
Well, it's time to throw the ball. Whip that bullet to your tight end over the middle, or air it out a rainbow to the outside shoulder of your flanker as he streaks down the sideline. It's time for more basics.
One of the most basic fundamentals of football is gripping the football. A lot of people grip the ball different ways. I like to grip it with 2 fingers on the laces and 2 fingers off. I've got average size hands, and it really depends on the size of your hands on where you like to grip the football. The bigger your hands, you have a tendency to move down the football. The smaller your hands, you have a tendency to move towards the smaller end of the football so you can grip better. So it really depends on what feels comfortable to you and how big your hands are. In talking about the release, as we said earlier, we like to bring the ball to the chest. As soon as we're on our drop, we get the ball to our chest. We've got 2 hands on the ball. Now, the last thing we want to do when we get to this point is drop the football. We want to have as quick release as we can, but we also want to have some power on the football. And that's not by dropping it down here. If we drop the football, it's going to slow our delivery quite a bit. So we want to have the football here, and we want to take it back this way. We don't want to drop it. We want to take it back here, so when we get back here, we get our power from back here. Now, when we come through, we want the ball to come off the index finger. This index finger right here, and it comes off the inside. As it comes off that finger, we push with that to get the ball rotating. And to keep in fluid motion there, we push that ball and put that thumb in the offside pocket, offside front pocket. So we get that rotation, we get a good spiral on the football.
Your feet, really the foundation of a good pass.
Talking about the footwork and throwing the football, we want to concentrate a little bit on our front leg. We want to make sure that front knee is not totally locked out. We don't want it locked out, and we don't want it bent too much. We want it in a good football position, so when we come through to throw the football, it's in a good position so we can get some power through it. Okay, when we come through with that front foot, we want it pointing in the direction that we want to throw the football, that the receiver we're throwing it to it or whatever it may be, we want it in a position at the direction of which we're going to throw the football. When we come through on it, we want to land on the ball of the foot. We don't want to land on the heel, and we don't want to land on the toe. We want to come down in a comfortable position on the ball of that foot so it's in a comfortable position. We want to stride, too. We don't want to leave it there and just try to throw. We want to stride. We want a comfortable stride, but we don't want a big, long stride. If you have a long stride, you have a tendency the ball will sail on you. So it's a nice, comfortable stride, coming through, pointing that front foot in the direction you're throwing the football on, and landing on the ball of the foot. With the back leg, again, good, fun, comfortable position. We don't want the back leg locked out, and we don't want it bent too much. We've got to have it bent, so we've got a good power position. So when we do drive off that leg, we've got good power. We want to drive off again on our back foot, on the ball of that back, on the ball of the foot in the back. So we can drive off, the legs bent, and when we do come through, we don't want to leave that foot there. We want it to be natural, come through, and follow through when we throw the football. So we step at the way we're throwing it, throw it, and come through.
Ball spirals out of your fingertips. It's a thing of poetic beauty. All of a sudden, a 200-pounder, a defensive lineman comes crashing in on you. Now, how do you protect yourself to avoid that injury?
Well, the key thing for the quarterback, and it's so much, it contradicts everything else about football in the quarterback position, because as a quarterback, when you get hit, the thing that you've got to do is just relax. You've got to just relax every muscle in your body and let that big defensive lineman take you whichever way he wants to go. You can't fight back because you're going to lose. You're in the pocket, you're trying to throw the football, and you're defenseless. The only thing you can do is relax. You think of a running back and a linebacker. When they go head on head to each other, they're tensing up, trying to deliver a blow to each other. Whereas a quarterback standing in that pocket, when we're throwing the football, we're defenseless. We can't tense up. We've got to throw that ball, go through that motion, and then when we get hit, you've just got to relax and then go with the punches. Wherever they want to take you, you've just got to relax and go with it.
All right, now it's time to throw the football. Where do you throw it? Who do you throw it to? It all depends. Crucial third down. You need this first down desperately. Go to the hook pattern.
Down, odd, ready, set, go.
On the hook route, it's usually 12 to 14 yards deep when we run the hook route, and that's all timed in with the drop. That's why the drops are so important, because you look at the plays, and 80% of all routes and passes that quarterbacks make are at timing patterns that go off the drop. So on a hook route, what we've got to do is I've got to take the precise drop. We've got to get the receiver to go down 12 to 14 yards, come back off that outside foot, plant, and come back to me. Especially on those inside routes, a hook route or any slanting route or any type that, he's always got to be coming back to the quarterback so there can be no one that cuts in front of him to take that ball away.
If you make a mistake with the hook route, do you make it low or high to avoid the interception?
The thing about a hook route, you can never be wrong if you're low, because chances are the ball, if the ball's dropped or it's really bad, it's going to hit the ground. But on a hook route, when it's a high pass and the receiver has to go up to get it, chances are that ball can be tipped. And especially in a 3-deep zone where they've got people behind that hook route, if it gets tipped up in the air, chances are it's going to get picked off.
You're threatening. You're inside the 20. It's on the go. Everything's on the line now. This could be the ball game. It's time for the slant.
Down, odd, ready, set, go.
Well, the slant in is a good route, especially like you said, down in the goal line area, because it's a short route. We throw that slant in off a three-step drop, and the receiver's taking 5-step drops and breaking at a precise 45-degree angle. That's again where we get back to the precision of the routes. They've got to be just right so we know where to throw the ball. Again, the slant is we don't wait for him to break to see where we're going to throw the ball. It's another timing throw where you've got to have confidence in your receiver that he's going to be where he's supposed to be. You take your 3-step drop and throw that ball, and that's one of those throws that against zone you're going to have to stick it in between those linebackers, and then man-to-man you're going to have to make sure you keep the ball in front of him, because man-to-man there's going to be a guy right behind him.
All right, you just got an interception. Now's the time to put them away. Ball's at the 45, 1st and 10. You score now, it's yours. What do? Go to the post pattern.
Go!
Well, there's no question, whether it be man-to-man coverage with the guy free in the middle with the free safety free in the middle, or three deep zone with the man in the middle. The thing about the post route is it's a deep drop, and it's a chance for you to throw to the end zone and get a touchdown, and that's when you can use your eyes. They talk about quarterbacks using your eyes and looking people off. That's when you can with the free safety. If you look to the left, you've got a post with the wide receiver out to the right, and you stare down a receiver to the left, get that free safety to cheat to that guy, and all of a sudden you run the post in behind him. That's a chance for a big play. So the post route is a great route, and it's one that you can just lay up. You got to lay up and let the receiver run to it.
The square out. Some call it a sideline pattern. It is a favorite and a safe pass for John Elway. Might not be for you. Listen.
Set, go!
It's a safe pattern anyway. You know, it helps to have a strong arm because that's a tough throw. And the thing about the square out route, we usually run that off a 5-step drop. It's another timing throw. You don't wait till he breaks to throw the football. You've got to have that timing through practice, time after time of throwing it with your receiver to get that timing of the square out down. But the thing about the square out, and it's another route, you cannot throw the ball behind the receiver. If the ball is behind him, those are the ones that always get intercepted. That ball's got to be thrown to the sideline, and so the receiver can run to it. And a lot of times, you know, he's going to go out of bounds after he catches that ball. That's the aiming point that you want, that he can catch the ball and get out of bounds.
They're really coming strong. Good rush. They're dropping their linebackers off. Go to the hitch pattern. You can get 5 quick ones with that hitch.
Set, go!
Well, the hitch is a 3-step drop for us, and it's one of those quick patterns where you want to read the defense, but it really doesn't matter what defense there is, because if you run the hitch routes, which we call as we just run 5 steps and turn around towards the quarterback, and it's our job with a 3-step drop to get the ball there as fast as we can. So we're not messing around on our drops. It's a fast drop we can, and we whip that ball out there and get it there before that outside linebacker can get there if they're in zone, or if they're in man, before that cornerback can react up to it.
All right, you're getting a lot of time to throw the ball. Thanks to your linemen. Go with the deep cross.
Go!
Yeah, the deep cross is a great play. You know, whether you've got man or zone, it's good against both. The thing about the deep cross is there's a free safety back there, and you've got to make sure that you clear that free safety out, whether it be a post with the backside or running the tight end up the middle. You've got to somehow get that free safety out of there. And you can also do it with your eyes as a quarterback, getting back to looking people off, so looking them away from that deep cross, so when you do come back to him, you can get it to him as quick as you can. You can get it to him out of his break.
Your halfback is all conference and faster than an allowance disappearing on a Saturday night. You know what you want to do? Have him work against that slower linebacker. Go to the swing pass.
Go!
Well, you know, that's kind of the mismatches you like as a quarterback. When you get a big linebacker on a quick running back, you feel like you've got a pretty good chance to get a completion there, because you know, those running backs usually can run away from those linebackers. Again, you get man-to-man coverage. You want to stay with that guy, because chances are he is going to be open, and so it's just a matter of, you know, hitting him. And when you get man, it's not so much of a timing pattern, especially with the running backs. Those are the times when you want to wait until he comes out of his break, let him stretch that guy, get away from that guy, and then throw the football. So the running back patterns aren't nearly as timed routes as the wide receiver routes.
Not every pass pattern is going to work for you. You've got to learn your own strengths and your weaknesses. Now, what works and what doesn't work for John Elway?
I've got a pretty strong arm, so I like to throw the deep outs. You know, 20, 25-yard outs because I know it's a very safe pass, and the chances of it, if it does get tipped, it's going to get tipped out of bounds. So I feel real comfortable throwing those deep outs. I'm a lot better at it now, but the ones I really had a tough time adjusting to were the deep crosses, because a lot of times when you get a zone with the deep cross, you've got to go over people. So when you go over those linebackers, you've got to have some touch in there. And I really didn't have a lot of touch when I came out of college, and it's something that you've got to develop and work on, and that's by taking a little bit off the ball, put a little loft on it, and go over those linebackers.
Okay, big day. You just completed 16 out of 23, a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions. Before you accept all the congratulations and accolades, you better listen to this.
Well, the key thing is, your offensive lineman as a quarterback, the offensive line is going to take care of you to their utmost. And the thing about playing quarterback is you're going to get more credit than's due, and when you're going to get more blame that's due. So there's really no middle of the road for a quarterback. Whereas an offensive lineman, they're always going to be. They're not going to get very much praise, and they're not going to take very much criticism. So the thing that you want to do is, as I always do, and I don't feel like I have to make myself do it. I think they're great people, and they go out and they're playing their heart out to block for you, even though they're not getting the fame, but they're working their heart out. And I think that as a quarterback, you can never give them enough credit.
You want to be the best you possibly can be. You want to achieve your maximum. Should you play football year-round? Should you lift weights? What about the other sports? The three things that we've all heard about since grammar school: pull-ups, push-ups, and sit-ups. What do you think about that?
Well, they're all great. I mean, if you don't have access to a gym, to weightlifting, all three of those exercises are good. I think that you listened about what Herschel Walker's never lifted a weight in his life. All he's done is push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. He used to do sit-ups sitting in front of the TV during commercials and do push-ups before he went to bed. So I think he's an example that, those three exercises right there, can be a great help to you.
Did you lift weights in high school?
No, I didn't. I didn't lift any weights in high school, and really didn't lift very many weights in college. I think that it was my dad's theory that you never want to lift weights until your body is fully matured, I'm all for that, because I think that a lot of times guys worry about bulking up and getting really strong, and it really kind of restricts whether it be a quarterback or throwing motion. It really tightens the person up, and when you're younger, it can do different things to the tendon that might hurt you later on. So, I don't know if I'm totally against lifting in high school, but I think if you did lift, it would have to be very high repetition with not a lot of weight, just more of a conditioning program than it would be to build bulk.
As I understand it, though, you lift now a great deal. In fact, put on 12 pounds of muscle during the off season.
Yeah, I really got into it since I've been here in Denver. My first year here, I took quite a beating and missed a couple halves and a couple games because of injury. And I think that after that year, I decided that I didn't want to miss any more games. And I thought if I put a little bulk on, put some pounds on, as well as condition the muscle, that I'd be able to take that beating week in and week out and be able to bounce back if I did get injured. And it's really turned out great for me.
Clyde LaVillette was a very heavy youngster. In the 5th grade, his mother gave him a jump rope. Not only did he go on to become a very agile youngster, he went on to become one of the great basketball players in our country at the University of Kansas. He was an All-American. Do you believe in jumping rope? Do you use the jump rope yourself?
Well, I think it's good. I've never done a lot of it just because I was never really exposed to it, but we've started doing it in our off-season program here. We do quite a bit of jump roping, and I can see where it's helped me as far as foot quickness and that type of thing. So jump roping can be good. The thing about you talk about his mom giving him that jump rope is he wanted to do it. My mom could have given me a jump rope, and if I didn't want a jump rope, that jump rope was going to sit and get cobwebs on it. So it's a matter of wanting to do it.
Your teammate, Steve Watson, catches a lot of passes from you, and he has used karate to really help himself improve his strength and quickness. Do you have a thought on karate?
Well, I think one thing about karate is a great it's great for flexibility. The quickness is one thing that comes out of it. If you're not very flexible, you're not ever gonna have great flexibility. You look at all the guys that have great quickness, and they've all got great flexibility. So anything you can use that will give you that flexibility, whether it be gymnastics or the karate or any of those type of things that can give you that added flexibility, is going to help your quickness.
A lot of people, particularly when the playing days are over, go to the life cycle, the exercise bike. Do you have a thought?
Well, that's what the thing that I really like. I've got a bad knee, and so the thing about the life cycle, or even riding a bike, is that you're not that you don't have that constant pounding on the legs and the knee joints and all the joints. And so, you know, I think that the stationary bikes as well as a movable bike are great.
You know, you'll hear the thought that swimming is the best single exercise that anyone could have, particularly go with it later in life. Do you swim?
I do every once in a while. I'd like to swim more than I do, but my wife's a great swimmer, and she's always trying to talk me into getting down there. But the thing about swimming is that it gets the whole body, cardiovascular. You're working very much, as well as your shoulders and your arms and your legs. And so the thing about swimming is your whole body's getting to work out at one time.
Off-season running, what do you do?
Well, we start our off-season program at the end of March, and it goes for about 4 months until we go to training camp in July, and we start out slow, and that's the key thing is to start out slow and gradually build yourself into it. If you start out all of a sudden haven't run in 3 months, and now all of a sudden you're going to say, well, I'm going to go out and get in shape, and you go out and kill yourself the first day, you're not going to want to go out the next day. So the key thing is to remember that it's going to take you 2 or 3 months to get in top competitive shape, and the thing to do it is to make yourself want to do it, and that's not to go out there and kill yourself that first day. It's to gradually improve it and do more and more each day.
5 ways to improve your passing skills. Hey, you can even watch the tube. Let's take a look at collect and throw to start with.
You know, drills are terrific, but when it really boils down to it, the way that you learn to throw was just by throwing the live bodies.
Oh, there's no question. I think that you know, we can show people some drills and, you know, ways to strengthen your arm, ways to you know, work on your drops and get them so they're precise and so you're doing the same thing every time. But the thing that you've got to do is be able to put it all together, and you've got to throw to live bodies. And even in situations when you don't have live bodies, you've got to work on taking your drops and throwing at something. Put up a dummy or something, and you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be moving, but it helps to have live bodies. But if you don't, you know, set up, take your drops, set up, and throw to something.
Talking about strengthening the arm and throwing for accuracy, most people learn to throw on their knees because they do feel that you have to really zero in to throw the ball.
Well, there's no question. The big thing about when you're throwing on your knees, you can alternate knees like, you know, we're going to show, and you can alternate throwing on different knees. It's good to loosen your arm, plus it's also really isolates the arm, and that's what makes the arm stronger, is throwing over and over, just isolating that arm, and you get that strength built up in that arm, and you know, it doesn't include the body, so you're putting a lot of pressure on your arm.
One of the great drills, both for baseball and football, to strengthen the arm, we just call it the back away drill. You use all upper body strength, spread your legs, throw, and then you back off a step. You've used this some.
Yeah, and that's, again, another one where you're using all your arm. You're keeping your body and your hips out of the throwing motion and trying to use your arm just to strengthen that and, you know, improve your arm.
An interesting drill and a fun drill is the TV spin drill. Everybody lays on the ground, throws it up to the ceiling. You've tried to put a hole in the ceiling, but you're working on your spin.
Well, there's no question. You know, that ball is, you know, you can do it in your living room while you're watching TV and just laying on your back and seeing how close you can get it to the ceiling. But the best thing about that is it gets the ball to come off your hand well. It gets the ball to come off that index finger, and you're doing it time and time again, and you're getting that tight spiral as it's going towards the ceiling. So that's a very, you know, good drill as far as, you know, when you don't necessarily need a lot of spare time. You can do it in front of the TV, and you just lay there, and it's repetitious, so you get that feeling of it coming off well.
We've talked so much about the importance of steps, a 3, 5, and 7 foot drop. If you do that in the basement and measure it out so that it's automatic when you step back, you're at 3, when you step back, you're at 5. You've done this, it does pay off in the wintertime.
Well, there's no question. You know, you can do it in your basement, and the thing is, we talked about earlier, you've got to be consistent in your drops. That depth has got to be the same all the time, and you've got to go straight back so those offensive linemen know where you are. And if you do that, and you get that chalk and put it down on the thing, and you take your 3-step drop, and you're hitting on that chalk every time, and you do it over and over, you're going to get consistent at that depth. And you can work on the 3, 5, and the 7-step drop that way, and so you're getting to where you're consistently the same depth and straight back every time.
What you put in your body really does make a difference. Now, John talks about junk food, and sleep.
You know, you look great and everything. Did you eat right as a kid? Were you conscious of good nutrition?
Well, my mom was. I think that I was like any other kid who was never real conscious of it, but my parents did a good job in making sure that I ate well, 3 meals a day. My mom always worked when I was young, but she was always up an hour early making us breakfast. And I think that, because they were conscious that, me as well as the rest of our family all have healthy bodies.
What about junk food? Do you mess with that?
Well, yeah, everyone has to have a little bit of junk food. I think the one thing I try to remember is, eat junk food, but don't let it interfere with the 3 main meals of the day. Don't eat junk food at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then not be able to eat your dinner at night. So, I've ate my share of junk food, but I think I like to use it and eat junk food for dessert.
What about vitamins? Do you take vitamins?
Well, my mom's always tried to press vitamins on me, and I think that it's a good thing. I think they can do nothing but help you and keep you healthy. For me, it's real tough for me to remember them all the time, but as much as I can, I try to eat vitamins, and to me, it keeps me healthier, and I'm extra conscious of it during the season because the last thing I want to do is have an illness during the season.
You know, a lot of youngsters are really concerned with this question. What do you eat the day of a game? What should they eat the day of a game?
Well, the thing that I've always concentrated on is the 2 nights before the game is an important night of sleep, as well as the day for the meals. 2 days before is when you're really going to get the energy that is for the game. So I concentrate on eating real well 2 days before the game because, and then the next day I'll eat, but I'll be thinking about the game and won't be able to eat as much. And then the day of the game I don't like to eat very much, so I like to eat some kind of carbohydrates, whether it be spaghetti or some breads. Usually when we're playing at home game, I like to eat pancakes with maple syrup, and I'll have 3 or 4, and that's it.
Yeah, that'll keep you going.
Yeah.
How much sleep do you require? Do you need a lot of sleep?
Well, I like to get at least 8 hours. I think that that's very important for me because I play a lot better and feel a lot better when I get a good night's sleep. I think that a lot of times I can sleep too much, and I don't like to do that. So if I can get on a schedule and stay to that schedule where I'm getting 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep a night, I feel real good.
Biggest problem probably facing our country, your stance on drugs.
Well, there's no question it's a big problem with it, and I think that, there's by no means drugs should be allowed anywhere. I think that it's about time that people have stood up and really took a stance against it because it is getting bad, and I think there's a lot of peer pressure that is brought on by drugs, especially at the high school level, and because your friends are doing it, you feel you have to do it to be cool, and I think that when I was in high school, I felt cool because I didn't do it, and I think that we've got to have more people that stand up against drugs in that situation.
Did you ever have to deal with a friend who was using drugs? Did that situation ever arise, high school or college?
Well, usually if I had people that were doing drugs, I didn't want to be around them because one thing that I've always remembered is there's a lot of guilt by association. If there's other people around you that are involved in drugs, it wasn't a place for me to be because I wanted nothing to do with drugs at all. So my friends were all clean people and didn't mess with the drugs.
You know, young people are so sensitive to what their heroes are doing. Do NFL people really have a responsibility to stay clean, in your opinion?
I do. I think that it's an added pressure for a person in the NFL or any of the professional sports. I think people that are well known have a responsibility to the young people, and that's by, it should come natural. I think there's some things that you've got to work out because you want to be like everybody else. But I think in a spotlight like you are, you've got to concern yourselves with it and realize that you've got a lot of people that are looking up to you, and you can be a positive influence on their lives. And I think that, if you help one person, you've been a success, and hopefully you can help more than that.
Does an NFL quarterback really need a college degree or a mom?
If one has to suffer, either academics or athletics, and that's a tough choice, which would it have to be?
Well, it's definitely a tough choice. I'm not so sure that I want to. I think that the way I look at it is, when you set your priorities up, academics have to be number one, or academics has to be number one, and athletics has to be number one also. I think you've got to have 2 number ones. I think what you've got to consider is you want to be the greatest athlete you can be, but also you've got to remember that no matter what sport you go through, you're only going to do it, if you're lucky, until you're 30, 32 years old, and hopefully you've got 40 years to live after that, and you've got to be ready to work after that, and you've got to have that academic background that's going to get you through your future and through really the heart of your life. And you know, if you don't take care of the academics when you're going through school, and all of a sudden you play pro football, and we've seen it happen many times where guys get out of football and they're broke, and they haven't completed their college degree, and they haven't worked hard on their studies, and they're on the ground floor, and that, you know, it's a tragedy, but it's happened. And that's why we've got to emphasize on academics are as important, if not more important, than athletics.
Did you receive your degree?
I did. I got my degree in 4 years, a degree in economics.
Did it come easy, or did you really have to push yourself?
Well, I had to push myself. You know, I think that I had some intellect, but it definitely wasn't up there with the top people in the world. I think that I just had to go there, and I had to put my time in to get good grades and to get the passing grades and that type of thing. So it wasn't something that really came easy, but you know, then again, I wasn't dumb.
What about in the home? Did the folks really push it? Was there a lot of emphasis on academics?
Yeah, there was, and I think that's one of the main reasons why you know, I did get some good study habits, because it really came from my mother and father as far as pressing me and doing my homework. And even in high school, I think that's where everything was set up right there. Is when I did come home, I'd spend an hour a night in high school, and they really pushed me, and I think that's one reason why I did excel in academics.
You were an All-American football player. You brought a lot of glory to Stanford. Were you given special treatment?
No, by no means. I think that at Stanford, you go to Stanford as a student first and an athlete second, and that's the way the professors and everybody on campus looks at you, is that you are there as a student, and then the athletic, what you do on the athletic field is kind of thought of secondly. So special treatment, especially at the university like Stanford, is by no means ever brought into the picture.
Could John Elway have been a golfer, a tennis pro?
Well, I don't know. I think that if I would have tried, I would have given it my best shot. I think that, you know, physically they're so much different, but I think mentally every sport is pretty much the same. It all comes down to mental toughness and how well you can handle adversity, and it's working over it and doing things time and time again as you know, you get frustrated and you don't want to do. There's other things you'd rather be doing. It's the guy that stays out there, and whether it be hitting a golf ball or throwing a football, it's the guy that's taking the extra turns. It's gonna make the difference down the line. When you're young, you know, you want to do as many different things as you can. I don't think you have to get tied up in one sport or another throughout your life and just work on that sport. I think that, you know, athletics as a whole, no matter what you're playing, if you're playing basketball or baseball or football, everything is going to help you further yourself as an athlete. And I think that that's one thing you don't want to limit yourself when you're young, is that doing one thing. Do as many things as you can. And then as far as throwing the football, I threw the baseball, and I just loved to throw things. If I was walking home, I'd be throwing rocks at telephone poles or just anything I could get my hands on. I could never get a dirt clod fight with anybody because I threw them too hard, but I dealt with that as we went along. And, you know, I think that just being active and just throwing the football and having fun with what you're doing, and until you get into the, you know, high school. And then I think that's one time where you've really got to start, you know, getting down and really being conscious of throwing the football time and time out again.
You play in a stadium that has 75,000 plus, and they've booed you. How do you handle that?
Well, that's tough. I think that's something that comes with experience. I was booed quite a few times my rookie year, and I really took it to heart. But I think once you're in the league a while, and once you go through that situation, that you can't take it to heart. You got to realize that they're not booing you; they're booing your performance. And that's another. There you go again, is saying. The competitive guy comes right back out and says, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. You're going to be clapping before I get done.
You know, when you're in trouble, I saw you your first year as a rookie, and you were struggling with your confidence, throwing the ball and everything. Who brought you out of it? Did you bring yourself out of it?
Well, I definitely didn't fight out of it myself. I had a lot of help. My mom and dad were probably the biggest help. I was back here by myself, and you know, in a new territory that I didn't know. You know, first year out of college, and still young at mind and heart. And the thing that I tried to do is be tough and just keep thinking that things are going to keep getting better. I just got to keep working. But then, of course, there were times where I thought that I wanted to go jump off the Empire State Building. If it had been in Denver, I probably would have. But I'd call my mom and dad, and they were always the big boost. They were always the ones that kept me going, kept me working hard, and you know, with their positive attitude, when you've got a great deal of respect for your parents like I do, their word means a lot to you, and they're definitely the ones that got me through that first year.
Well, that's going to do it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, nothing replaces hard work unless it's smart work. You got to work smarter. And we hope with the techniques, the drills, the interviews, you will be able to work smarter. Maybe someday, who knows, when they're talking about great quarterbacks on a Monday morning, they'll be talking your name. Good luck.